Hi, and welcome to Dog Fostering 101. I'm Jackie Adams, foster mom and learning and development professional. This podcast is for anyone who's new to fostering, thinking about saying yes for the first time, or navigating those early days and looking for practical tips, because fostering changes lives at both ends of the leash. Hey friends, welcome back to Foster Fast Track series, where we take one topic and break it down in a way that's practical, honest, and doable. This episode reflects the thought leadership of Cindy Ochek, whose upcoming interview on Thursday explores what foster dogs teach us about love, loss, and letting go. Today's Fast Track is meant to ground those ideas in something very real: how to love a foster dog deeply without burning yourself out emotionally. And right up front, I want to say this clearly. The goal is not detachment. The goal is sustainable love. Attachment is not the problem. If you have ever thought, I'm too attached, this is harder than I thought it would be, or I don't know if I can keep doing this, I want you to hear this first. Attachment is normal. If you're opening up your home, your routine, and your heart to a dog, especially one who's experienced confusion, fear, or trauma, connection is part of that job. Burnout doesn't come from loving too much. It comes from loving without enough support, boundaries, or rest. Connection versus carrying the weight of everything. There's an important difference between connection and over-identification. Connection is caring deeply and showing up. Over-identification is feeling like the entire outcome rests on your shoulders. And I want to share a personal example because this is where things became very real for me. So I had Poptart and Simon, and I started fostering them for approximately a 2-month period is what I had them for in total. And we made a lot of progress. So Poptart was a strong, confident dog who pulled on the leash and was prey-driven. At the same time, I was also fostering Simon, a deeply sensitive dog with a traumatic past who needed careful exposure on walks. So picture this. I'm exhausted, trying to help Simon build confidence while also physically reining in Pop-Tart. One day there was a loud noise. They both reacted at the same time, pulling incredibly hard in opposite directions, and I was yanked to the ground. I badly injured my knee. And in that moment, I knew something had to change. Here's the hard part, though. I had been sharing their journey in my local foster group. I had posted about my slow introductions, bringing those two of them together, their progress, their wins, and suddenly I found myself admitting just to myself that I no longer felt safe, and to the group that I no longer felt capable of fostering them both until adoption. I felt like a failure. I wasn't. I was stressed. I was tired. And continuing as I wouldn't have helped anyone. It wouldn't have helped me. It wouldn't have helped the dogs. So I'm saying this if you've ever felt ashamed for needing to take a step back. I just want to make this very clear. Choosing safety, choosing what your capacity is, and sustainability is not failure. It is responsible fostering. That experience taught me something important. Being a responsible fosterer sometimes means knowing when I have to take a step back, even when your heart wants to push through. Boundaries help you foster longer than when boundaries don't come in. Boundaries don't mean you care less. They mean you want to care longer. That can look like saying no to placements that exceed your current capacity, asking for help before you're overwhelmed, pausing from fostering, even when progress is happening. One of the healthiest things a fosterer can do is say, I need a pause so I can continue doing this well. And that's not quitting, that's sustainability. Goodbyes often feel like burnout hides. Instead of seeing adoption or a transition as a loss, try reframing it as a successful handoff, a completed chapter, a dog who is more prepared because of what you did. You didn't lose a dog, you helped them get ready for the rest of their story. And yes, pride and grief can exist at the same time. Quiet signs of burnout isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like dreading walks or routine care, feeling numb inside of emotion, guilt, irritability, or resentment, or thinking, I just can't do this anymore. Not just today, but long term. If that's you, it doesn't mean fostering isn't for you. It means something needs to shift. If you're listening and realizing you might be more depleted than you thought, take a breath. You are not alone. and you don't have to decide anything right in this moment. You're allowed to foster in seasons. Here's something I want every foster to hear. You are allowed to take a break. You're allowed to have fewer dogs. You're allowed to foster easier dogs. You're allowed to foster only at certain times, such as respite fostering, so that others in the foster group do not need to take their dogs back to the shelter or pay for expensive boarding or step back from fostering and then come back later. All of those still help transform the lives of the dogs. The system doesn't need people who burn out quietly. It needs people who can stay within fostering and provide that support. If you take nothing else from this episode, remember these three things. Attachment is normal. Burnout is a signal, not a moral failing. And stepping back can be part of staying in. If this episode resonates with you, I hope you remember this. You're not weak for getting attached. You're not failing if you need a break. And loving a foster dog responsibly includes loving yourself enough to do this sustainably. If this Foster Fast Track episode helped, consider sharing it with another fosterer who might need permission to breathe. You're doing important work and you don't have to do it alone. And if this Foster Fast Track episode resonated with you, also be sure to stay tuned for Thursday's interview with Cindy Ochek, author of the book, Mom Loves the Dog More. We talk about foster dogs and what they teach us about loving and letting go, how caring for animals can shape families during difficult seasons, and how holding both deep connection and goodbye is part of the responsible fostering process. It's a powerful, honest conversation, and I think many of you will see yourselves in it. Thanks so much for joining us for this Foster Fast Track episode. Now go snuggle a pup and have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Dog Fostering 101, everything I wish I knew when I began fostering. This episode was edited by Make Your Day Richer. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to follow us and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Now go cuddle a pup and have a great day.